What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and in this video, we are checking out the brand new 2026 Motorola Moto G Stylus. So if you are a longtime follower of the channel, you know that I've had a mixed relationship with Motorola, but I'm rooting for them. I really am. I want them to succeed and to release good phones because here in the US, they are basically our only other option besides Apple and Samsung. And for whatever reason, they like to go back and forth, releasing either really good smartphones or really terrible smartphones depending on the year. There's literally no in between. This year, this new 2026 G Stylus is fortunately a really good phone. And in fact, for the first time ever, Motorola actually focused on the stylus. The pen, the thing that this phone is named after, giving it new features and new abilities. It's no longer just a shiny metal stick, it's actually connected to the phone. Motorola even upgraded a few other aspects of this phone, and in typical Motorola fashion, didn't upgrade a few other things they definitely should have. But they didn't take anything away, hooray, and all things considered, I think this is the most substantial upgrade to the Moto G Stylus ever. So I'm going to fill you in on everything you need to know about this new 2026 G Stylus. I'll show you all the new stylus features. I'll talk about all the other specs, both good and bad. But I'll just say right off the bat that if you've been a Moto fan for a while and have been waiting for something new, or you are or want to be an S Ultra user, you want an S Pen-like experience, but don't want to fork over $1,000 or more, this is finally a really compelling other option for a stylus smartphone. First things first, as always, let's just quickly unbox this thing. Slicing through the stickers here and sliding off the lid, the first thing you're presented with is the phone itself, all wrapped up nicely. Underneath that is a cute thank you from Motorola for actually buying one of their phones. And inside this little packet is another new thing, a QR code on the charging cable that tells you to buy yourself a wall plug. And this is really interesting. Honestly, I've never seen any other phone explicitly mention the lack of a power brick up front like this and tell you to actually go and buy one. The QR code, by the way, literally just links to Motorola's homepage, not the listing for their 68-watt turbo power wall charger, like it probably should. So kind of a wasted effort, but an interesting little detail nonetheless. With all that stuff out of the way, here is the 2026 Moto G Stylus once again. Looks like the stylus down there is pretty excited to see us. And as we get it powered on and set up, let's talk pricing. So unlocked directly from Motorola, this new G Stylus is $499. And that price is for the 128GB model. For double the storage, you're paying $599. And if that price makes you uncomfortable, you currently will receive a couple free gifts for ordering this phone. Motorola earbuds, their Moto Tag item finder, even a whole Moto watch if you buy the 256GB model. Kind of a crazy bundle offer, to be honest. And you can also trade in your old device to pay as little as $1 apparently, but in playing around with their trade-in tool, they value their own Motorola smartphones at like $50 each, and trading in an actual 512GB iPhone 17, for example, still has you paying $71 out of pocket for the 256GB G Stylus. So maybe skip the trade-in options because those are some terrible offers. As we head into summer, I also have no doubt this phone will be on sale every other week, and you can buy it from Amazon or Best Buy. It's widely available. It'll also likely be sold through most, if not all, the major carriers and prepaid networks at various prices. So if you can be patient and shop around, I wouldn't be surprised if you wind up saving a few $100 on this phone. And two quick notes about the setup. This phone does still present you with a few recommended apps to pre-install, but a few of them you can uncheck, which is nice. And they're significantly less than in years past. The other thing is that if you want to learn about the new stylus and its new features, Motorola presents you with a couple helpful pop-ups right away as well. I'll go over all of this in a moment, but it's obvious that the stylus is actually the standout feature for this phone now. As far as the size and design, this phone basically looks exactly the same as the last couple G styluses. It's once again a 6.7-inch device, that's the screen size corner to corner, and you get the same screen to body ratio as last year with fairly thin bezels all around. It's still a pretty tall phone with a 20:9 aspect ratio, and while it maybe isn't the most modern looking smartphone in this price range now, I think it is a perfectly fine phone from the front. Around back, Motorola once again opted for their silicon polymer material, aka eco leather or vegan leather. Though on this phone at least, the material is now a more plasticky feel. It's a lot less rubbery or grippy. And frankly, I think that was a good small change. The back of this phone shouldn't collect as much dust and fuzz. Besides that, we get the same familiar Moto design with a subtle camera slope, simple Motorola M logo, and a plastic frame that actually looks quite nice on this phone. There's this combination polished, shiny edge with a matte or flat finish down the middle. I think altogether, this is a really good looking phone. And even though really none of the materials are all that premium, I think the uniqueness outweighs any complaints I might have about its plastic housing, or, I don't think I mentioned this yet, the Gorilla Glass 3 front display. The phone is also IP68/69 dust and water resistant, so it's tough enough. And if you're curious about this color, this is Pantone Lavender Mist. It's quite a bit more pink than purple, but I think it's quite nice. And the only other color option is Coal Smoke, which is basically just black. On the left side of this phone, you'll find the SIM card tray with, get this, a micro SD card slot. Shocking, truly, that this feature still exists on a new, higher-end 2026 smartphone. But like I mentioned earlier, with just 128 gigabytes of onboard storage, you just might need to explore some other storage options. Though nowadays, I'm not sure what's cheaper, an SD card or just paying for the higher spec smartphone. I think it's a lose-lose either way. And you saw earlier, but Motorola didn't crap up this phone with much either. There's still a folder of Moto apps and a couple things I wish weren't here, like Microsoft Copilot. And the games folder remains, which doesn't actually have any pre-installed games, just ads for games, and games you can play without downloading. And I guess if you do download games, they'll be put into this folder too, but definitely a lighter selection of pre-installed junk than in previous years. On the right side, just the familiar power and volume buttons. The fingerprint sensor is an optical in-display one. Not much else to say here. It works most of the time perfectly fine. You do need to tap and hold for a split second to get it to recognize your thumb and unlock, but I think it's been the same on these phones for at least the last 2 or 3 years now. There's nothing really at the top of the phone, and at the bottom, another shocker, the OG headphone jack is still here alongside the USB-C port, the main loudspeaker, and the all-new built-in stylus. So let's talk about that new stylus now. On the one hand, its placement hasn't actually changed, and the way you grab it is the same too. It pops out with a clickable top, and it doesn't matter how you shove it back in, there's no wrong way. You can't poke it in upside down. For whatever reason, people like to try and break the stylus putting it in the wrong way, but I don't think that can happen here. Now, the actual stylus is all new. Not only is it thicker and bigger and heavier, but it also has a brand new tip that's a lot sharper and more precise. And it now has an additional clicky side button that adds some minor functionality. You might also notice those small metal connector points. Those are the charge points. All of this indicates that yes, the stylus is now actually connected to the phone itself. However, it is not a full-on Bluetooth stylus. There aren't like air gestures. There's nothing here that lets you control the phone from a distance with the stylus. So it's not like S24 Ultra stylus. It's more like the current Samsung Ultra stylus. It's kind of connected with limited functionality. You can, of course, just use the stylus like your finger to tap, touch, swipe, and scroll through the phone. Some people enjoy doing this. It's a faster or more precise way to interact with apps, but you can also do other writing specific and writing adjacent things. Motorola offers you a short tutorial, but you can write within text boxes, you can cross out words, add new lines, rearrange words, and more, rather than using your thumbs on the keyboard. And when you eject to the stylus, you're also now presented with this brand new menu called the toolbar. This will show you 4 apps, and only 4 apps, that you can customize, but that should probably be stylus-supported apps, since the toolbar is only on screen when your stylus is being used. I wish you could could add more than 4 apps to this menu, but it is still nice that you could add any app you want to it. And I should also mention that a few of the Motorola apps that are stylus specific, that are a default option in this toolbar, like notes and screenshots, have also been updated as well. And as far as the connectedness of the stylus, well, when the pen tip is very close to the screen, just hovering over it and not quite touching it, you can sort of see a little dot, and that's where your pen tip is being tracked. When you're actually writing or drawing, the pen tip is also a lot more precise and accurate, which makes the whole experience a lot better. In addition, the stylus now supports pressure-sensitive and angle-specific writing and drawing, so depending on the app or the pen type, you'll be able to shade, draw thicker or thinner lines, and have a lot more realistic writing experience versus the simple metal pointer stick previously that didn't support any of this. While the connectedness of the stylus really improves the overall experience, the odd feature here is this side button. One click opens the toolbar. A long click takes a screenshot and allows you to annotate on screen. You can customize these commands a little bit, but the stylus has to be literally within a couple millimeters of the screen to recognize those button clicks. You can't click from afar, and I'm not sure there's a situation where you'd want to click the physical button on the pen versus just single tapping on the screen to do the same thing. But I'll have to play around with this and see what I come up with. Overall, it's obvious Motorola put a lot more thought into upgrading the stylus experience here with the hardware and the software, and I'm a huge fan. Just from the accuracy aspect alone, having a connected stylus allows for a much better writing and drawing experience that's more professional, more realistic, more precise, and more in line with the price of this phone now. And I would say that unlike previous G styluses, where the stylus was more of an afterthought, a literal dumb metal stick stuck inside the phone, this stylus now is finally a genuine feature. When it comes to the viewing experience, there's actually only one minor upgrade here, the peak brightness. The 6.7-inch screen is still a semi-standard AMOLED panel, no special name or spec, with a better than 1080 resolution, 1220 by 2712, for about 444 pixels per inch. And it's still a 120 Hz refresh rate screen with some interesting Moto-specific refresh rate distinctions and settings. I'd suggest just opting for hyper smooth unless you're really seriously battery conscious. You can also make some pretty major adjustments to the screen color balance, though I don't find that necessary. And that peak brightness upgrade I mentioned, it gets a bump up from 3000 nits to 5000 nits, which is great, don't get me wrong. I always sort of felt Motorola phones, even with an AMOLED panel, were strangely dim. But I think the old, very glare-prone Gorilla Glass 3 covering the display is the bigger problem now. And actually, the user-controlled brightness still doesn't get as bright as I might want. I mean, I sort of have to set this phone to 60 or 70% brightness or more, even indoors, before I'm comfortable with the view. I'm still not sure Motorola has totally committed to prioritizing their displays on these phones. I think, for example, that Samsung's A37 and A57 have way better viewing experience for a similar price, but there's nothing outright bad here. It's a perfectly fine screen for what it is. It's just not something I would say is competitive in this price range. Every year, the question I always have with Moto devices is whether or not Motorola gave it 2 speakers or 1. And this year, this phone kept its dual stereo speaker setup. These are supposedly Dolby Atmos something, once again, but the sound coming from the bottom main speaker and the secondary earpiece speaker honestly is like hollow and kind of muffled, and also requires it to be set to 70 or 80% volume just to be able to hear it well enough. Now, up to this point, I think I've done a pretty good job not complaining about this phone, so give me some credit there. And honestly, it's a darn good phone for the most part. But the single biggest issue, I think, is something that spec-conscious folks will probably have a harder time looking past. Inside, this new 2026 G Stylus is powered by the same Snapdragon 6 Gen 3 processor as last year's phone. And if you're counting the years, that means this chip is now more than a year and a half old. Couple that with 8 GB of RAM, no other spec option to choose from there. And I think we wind up with some internals that probably don't justify the $500 or potentially $600 price point anymore. Now, it's not all that unusual to reuse a processor from the previous year. And in today's world, given the crazy prices and supply chain issues, or whatever you want to call it, I'm sure Motorola was put in a tough spot. But where this phone falls within the lineup of other mid-range devices in its price range, I think it is a bit underpowered. Take Samsung's A57 again, for example, which is probably twice as powerful as this phone. And I know this exact Moto isn't exactly sold internationally. Motorola has slight variations for Europe and the rest of the world, but compared to all those phones we don't get in the US, this phone also falls short spec-wise. The bright side is, I don't think the average user is going to care or even tell what's inside this phone. I think Motorola's software experience, for as quirky as it is, feels nice on this phone too. It's like this oddly fluid feel. It's not fast, it's just like flowy with its animations and visuals. The other thing that brings this phone down a pip is Motorola's sheer lack of software support. They guarantee just 2 major Android updates, which, kind of makes you feel like you got some short-term value. But I also don't know of anyone who is desperately waiting for the latest software features on a Motorola device, unlike a Pixel or a Samsung, for example. So maybe that's a non-issue. It just strikes me as something Motorola still doesn't have any interest in prioritizing. Overall, I don't think the specs and performance here are an outright deal breaker, just something to think about from a price and longevity perspective. Honestly though, I actually feel like the Stylus experience now outweighs the last year processor move, but maybe I'm in the minority on that. Another very small upgrade this phone got was with the battery. Motorola is now listing this phone as having a 5200 mAh battery, up from 5000 mAh, which was the standard on a million Moto phones for years. It's not like a huge upgrade, but it's something, I guess. You also get 68 watt fast charging. Like I said, again, if you go out and buy the fast charger yourself, which I would recommend. And this phone still supports 15 watt wireless charging, which Motorola took off on some of their other phones this year. So it's nice that they kept it on this one, as weird as it sounds. And really, these are actually a decent set of power and charging features for this phone that do hit higher than some other phones in this price range, surprisingly. Finally, it shouldn't be a surprise, but when it comes to the cameras, Motorola did literally nothing here to change or upgrade the hardware or the software. The rear lens setup still consists of a 50 megapixel main lens and a 13 megapixel ultra wide. You might think there's a third lens or even a fourth, but what looks like an additional lens is actually just a sensor. The fourth circle is just the flash. So some trickery once again that makes it seem like there's more here. Shame, shame. And up front, the selfie camera is an identical 32 megapixel lens from last year's phone. Inside the camera app, Motorola still offers a nice lineup of shooting modes and other features, and it's certainly more than a bare bones basic setup, but you won't be wowed by the camera experience in any way. The wide angle lens is a useful necessity, but you don't get any further zoom. You can shoot 4K video, but only at 30 frames per second. There's macro for up close photos, ultra res, night mode, photo booth, which I didn't immediately recognize, but it's just some filters and things, and a couple additional settings. Again, not a bare bones camera setup necessarily, but far from flagship. Fortunately, the pictures you get out of this phone seem pretty good. I just don't think the camera has ever been a priority or a standout feature for Motorola. And other than being powered by AI, which actually isn't obvious to me, even Motorola doesn't explicitly mention any upgrades or enhancements here. So what all is new with this new 2026 Moto G Stylus? Well, the single most important thing is the all-new Stylus experience. And honestly, that's enough for me. The brighter screen, slightly bigger battery, and the fact that nothing was removed, like the SD card, the headphone jack, the dual speakers, and wireless charging, all make this phone a really compelling option if you value a lot of the physical smartphone features that are lacking from other options, but maybe don't prioritize the software experience or the camera. All in all though, I think this is the most compelling G Stylus Motorola has ever offered, but what do you guys think? Is this a phone you're considering right now? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video though. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.